going to go down. It went the exact opposite with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I've had, I think, great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance and you'll negotiate different plans and you get much better insurance and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself. So I'm always willing to work with anyone, including the other party. We'll work on something having to do with healthcare. We can do a lot better. We can do great. So much money is involved, and we're willing to pay so much money to the people. So we're going to pay a lot of money to the people. They're going to go out and buy their own healthcare, and we're going to forget this Obamacare madness. So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape.
Okay, sorry. You're going to be an entrepreneur for yourself, folks. You're going to get your own healthcare. We'll give you the money, and then you, 82-year-old great grandma, you're going to call the doctor, and you're going to call the insurance, and you're going to be an entrepreneur. Because, you know, we know the average working class American who's working paycheck to paycheck, they're going to love being an entrepreneur for their own healthcare. What a great idea from a idiot. My favorite part of that clip is the Republicans standing, you guys, they have no freaking idea he was going to say that. Okay. They have no idea what is going on. He just made that stuff up like he always does. And there they stand there. Oh, I mean, you got to give the guys credit. And I don't give the Republican House any credit. I call it the Republican Doormat Congress. The Republican Doormat Congress, they're just there for him to wipe his feet on. And there they are. It's like a welcome mat that says live, love, laugh. And they're just sitting there while he says whatever crazy stuff he's going to say. So they're all just sitting there, minding their, you know, and he's saying this crazy stuff. How do I know they don't have a plan? Because, well, this is Mike Johnson, like this, I think the same day or close to.
We are ready and eager now to get back to the legislative session work, the other side of this job, so that we can deliver on our promises to the American people. The Republican Party has been doing this, and we will continue. We're going to continue to reduce the cost of health care. We got big plans to do that. We're going to continue reducing prices and the cost of living for American families. And of course, to finish the rest of the appropriations government funding process. We've been needing to do that, and we are already working around the clock to accomplish those objectives.
Good news. They got plans, folks. They have plans. They have plans. I mean, it's great. I mean, here's them talking about their plans.
We worked on repealing and replacing Obamacare back in 2017. I still have PTSD from the experience. You remember that John McCain famously did the thumbs down, and effectively by a 1-vote margin, the whole effort was defeated. It's a great frustration of mine, and has always been of President Trump's. And we know that American healthcare needs dramatic reform. Let's just state it simply. Obamacare failed the American people. It was promised to be a great success, to make healthcare more affordable. It's done exactly the opposite. And it has been pointed out by everyone that since Obamacare was created in 2010, premiums, the cost of healthcare, have risen exponentially. It's skyrocketed to the point where it's no longer affordable for so many Americans. And the access to care has been reduced, and the quality of care in some regions of the country has been reduced. We have to reverse all of that, and we have plans to do it. The Republican Party is the party that has the plans to fix it. Can we completely repeal and replace Obamacare? Many of us are skeptical about that now because the roots are so deep.
The roots are so deep, but they got plans. You guys, oh, man, I'm freaking pumped. They have plans. They can't tell you the plan, but they got a plan, and the plan's amazing. And of course, the cost has skyrocketed. It's a mystery. Why have the cost skyrocketed? We don't know. It's got to be Obamacare's problem. You notice when they want to smear it, they call it Obamacare. But when they want to save it, they call it the ACA. Okay? And the fact is, lives are being saved because of the ACA. Because the thing is, and we're going to talk with our guest. I got a great guest, Dr. Rob Davidson, who is an expert in all this stuff. We're going to talk about life before the ACA. But for those of us who are alive, and many of us are, of course, but it's easy to forget when talking 12, 15 years, you could be kicked off your health care for being a woman of childbearing age. That was a pre-existing condition. Okay? You got cancer, you lost your health insurance because it's going to be too expensive. Okay? And now these clowns think we could just go back to negotiating our own health care. No big whoop. And somehow, mysteriously, the costs have gone up. Not because of all the different layers to our healthcare system that are constantly growing and making a profit. Not because health insurance premiums have gone up. Not because, or excuse me, health insurance profits have gone up. Hey, look, when you're talking about 1,000% increase in profits, I'm shocked. How have rates gone up? And profits have gone up 1,000. It doesn't make sense. Look, I'm new to this capitalism thing. I'm only 60 years old. But why would profits go up 1,000% when rates are skyrocketing and people can't afford to buy insurance? It's a effing mystery. Except it's not. Rates going up because it's become a profit base. It is a profit margin for very rich people to make a shit ton of money. And the people making that money just happen to serve in Congress too, like Rick Scott. And they know this, but they're counting on us being stupid and not knowing it. But honestly, let's joking aside. Could you imagine your mom, okay, your 22-year-old kid negotiating for their health insurance? Do you think a person that old would know of the potential of them having a genetic disorder that appears 5-10 years from now? The possibility of a rare cancer? I had a 30-year-old employee who had to have her hip replaced at 30. Do 30-year-olds usually get hip replacements? No, but it turns out she had a genetic condition that caused her to get it. Think she knew about that at 22 or even 28 when she's negotiating her health insurance? No, the ACA saved her hip. And that was the story before the ACA. People suffered. And this is what we're talking about, folks. In the end, this is about working class Americans getting screwed again by very rich people. Okay? The insurance companies, the banks, the benefactors in Congress who are all getting rich, the multimillionaires who serve us allegedly. That's the truth. It's always about following the money. I hate it. I sound like I sound crazy, but it's true. It makes no sense. I can't understand how rates have gone up so much, even as health insurance stocks have gone up 1,000%. It doesn't. It's a mystery. I hope we figure it out someday. But don't worry, you guys. Donald Trump has a plan he made up sitting at that desk. So let's talk about healthcare. But let's talk about what really matters about healthcare, how important this is, how everything in our economy is affected. There's not a single edge of our economy that isn't touched by the healthcare situation we're facing. And folks, we are at a deadline. If they don't fix the ACA premiums issue, the subsidies issue by December 31st, the devastation to our economy is going to be a cliff. Okay. This isn't a joke, y'all. This isn't a theory. This isn't the affordability crisis where egg prices go up and down. This is a no shit thing where in less than a month and a half, a lot of freaking people are going to lose their shirts or their health insurance or their jobs, a million different ways. So let's talk about the healthcare crisis in America tonight on a Friday night. I got a great guest, Dr. Rob Davidson. Hopefully you've seen him before on the show. He's terrific. I can't wait to talk to you about that. As always, I'm Fred Wellman. This is On Democracy with FP Wellman. You're right here on the Midas Touch Network on a Friday night. I love having you guys here. Let's get on with the show. Welcome back. I was drinking coffee. It is Friday night on the Midas Touch Network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to have you. As I said 30 seconds ago, I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy with FP Wellman. You're in the right place every Friday night, 7 p.m. on Midas Touch Network. Man, what a crazy week, right? It's always a crazy week right now. Of course, the big issue has been healthcare. And as I said in the intro, healthcare drives everything in America. Look, there's nothing that doesn't touch healthcare. You know, this other job I'm doing right now, there's not a day our healthcare system, the healthcare challenges of average Americans comes up. Not ever. It always comes up. I mean, everything from when I'm talking to small business owners, what drives entrepreneurship is healthcare. I mean, I myself, if you guys know my history, I retired from the Army as an Army officer. I was very fortunate to get a retirement check of some $3,000-$4,000 a month. And then I got full healthcare for my family. When I lost my job and started my own company, biggest issue was I had healthcare for my family. That no matter what, no matter how slow it took the company to grow, I had a little bit of money to pay my mortgage and I had healthcare. And so many entrepreneurs can't say that. So that's a challenge. So when we talk about our healthcare system in America, it touches everything. So as always, I get lucky. People reach out, friends reach out, and we've got a good friend of the show coming back for another appearance. And he's one of my favorite guests. Of course, that's Dr. Rob Davidson. He's an ER physician. He's the executive director of the Committee to Protect Healthcare and the host of Paging America, Substack, and podcast. Rob, welcome back. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Fred. Good to see you too.
Do you get a lot of Dr. Robbie stuff these days? I have to ask this on the air. I just finished watching The Pit, The Pit, and
I don't. Only 3 people still call me Robbie. My sister, my brother, my knee. It's Uncle Robbie and Robbie. Yep, that was my. Yeah, no, I haven't gotten any of that. No.
Now you watch The Pit?
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to talk about serious topics.
I don't have the platform it's on, so I've watched a few episodes on an airport. Yeah, I know you gotta get it.
oh, good. It is really good. You know, my son, we should have talked in the pre-show, so the live show. This is how it goes. You know, my son's now working. He's a ER secretary, and he just loves it. He loves it, man. He loves it. Well, look, man. Wow. I mean, what a couple of months. I know, I had nothing going on. You know, look, obviously there's a lot going on, but I don't know where to start. Let's start with the shutdown. Obviously, the shutdown was about the ACA subsidies. And I think it gets complex for people. They do understand. I think a lot of people inherently understand the cost of healthcare is going up, that the tax subsidies that were put in place by Biden help save those. Can you put that framing up for the average person and say, what was that shutdown about as far when people say, oh, it's about the subsidies and the cost? Can you frame that out for the average person to understand what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is the Democrats made it about the subsidies, right? It could have been about so many things, right? The law.
Where do you start?
You know, at the end of this year, in addition to, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40% increases in premiums that are coming across the board to ACA plans, employer-sponsored plans, all health insurance plans, because health insurance companies are greedy and they just want to extract more out of sick people. In addition to that, what's going to happen on December 31st if Republicans don't vote with Democrats to extend subsidies is for many people, millions of people in this country, their health insurance premiums are going to double or triple or even more than that because of Biden and Democrats. They created enhanced tax credits to help subsidize some of those healthcare premiums. So when people buy their insurance on the Affordable Care Act, on the Obamacare platform, they only have to pay a certain percentage of their income toward those premiums. It's 6.5% or 8.5%, depending on kind of your income bracket. And you then get tax credits to make up the difference. And so if those tax credits go away for a huge number of families, 4 million, millions and millions of people, that's going to go away. And for some of those people, it will mean exorbitantly high costs that they'll pay and they'll hardly be able to afford. For many people, estimates
or just not have healthcare, just drop it completely. I mean, that's the real thing. It's not even a matter of, well, my budget got squeezed. We know 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's the latest number. So if you're living to paycheck right now, when I triple your healthcare costs for your family, you lose healthcare probably. And that is a devastating thing. It's scary to think about. Now,
I mean, in the real world, my wife's a family doc, and she said at least a couple of patients every single day in clinic come up and they're like, I'm a little worried about next year. I'm not sure I'm going to have insurance. Are there things we can do now to get in under the wire while I know I still have health insurance? And, so they're all scrambling to have to deal with this bullshit from Republicans,
And this just doesn't affect SCA. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's missing in a lot of these conversations is the ACA credit going away. It affects the entire healthcare marketplace, right? Because average people, like my own daughter owns they're seeing rates increase for them as well. It's a ripple effect the entire market, isn't it? They all go.
Well, there is, because if those people are falling out of insurance, that's fewer people in the pool, right? The only way insurance works is if you have the most people possible spreading that risk across the big population. It's why when Republicans killed the individual mandate, premiums went up, right? It's why when 10 states, including 2 huge states, Florida, Texas, don't expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, premiums go up for everybody because you're getting sicker people into the pool. You're not getting people affordable health care in those states that get it in other states. So when I hear all them, bitching about, well, it's broken, they put the system, like they're the ones who have broken it, right? As conceived, the Affordable Care Act, not perfect. We have to all accept that it needs work, and Democrats want to work on it, no doubt. But what they want to do is throw people a lifeline so they are not losing healthcare or facing these massive increases at the end of this year, 6 weeks, less than 6 weeks from now.
Well, that's the thing, we talk about a lot. We talk about the affordability crisis in America. We talk about the healthcare crisis in America. But now it seems like a lot of times there's kind of a soft discussion of, oh, things are getting worse. But now we're talking about a no shit deadline, right? There's a no shit deadline, December 31st. This is a huge change. I mean, I think people are kind of whistling through the woods, not understanding that, no, we're talking, it is November 21st. In less than a month and a week, shit gets bad fast, don't it? Right? I mean, for a lot of people, all of us, right?
Yeah, for all of us.
And the clips I ran to opening there, and you didn't see him, but Mike Johnson, I have like 4 clips of Mike Johnson talking about how, oh no, we have a plan. This is going to be an amazing plan. It's secret. We have a secret plan. But then you've got Donald Trump, the day they reopen the government, saying, the insurance companies are ripping us off. We're just going to give the money directly to Americans. I mean, how your hair's not gray yet, but did you get any new gray hairs watching Trump? I mean, it's just insane, right?
Yeah, if we had a drone cam, you'd see the top of my head.
Let's not go there. I mean, you'll see my hair.
No, the problem is, they don't have a plan. At least they're saying now they have a plan and not just concepts of a plan. So we've taken an incremental step toward actual, but their plan, that as we have seen thus far, right, is basically Trump spitballing on Truth Social about an idea he had. And now you have Senate and folks in the House trying to scramble and come up with something that resembles policy that can match this kind of raving lunatics, midnight, posting.
Brain fart.
Who admitted that no one ever knew healthcare could be so complicated back in 2017, right? And so, the idea is, okay, well, we'll just give these people a lot of cash, whether it's just a check or stick it in a health savings account, and let them just go buy their health care, right? As if some random person on the street is going to go to United Healthcare and negotiate a premium down for themselves, right? Just from the labor movement, collective bargaining, you have strength in numbers. That's the strength of large numbers of people in the insurance exchange. That's the risk of people falling out of that insurance exchange and rates going up for everyone. And so now you start doing it like one by one in like a little Hunger Games, and you get healthcare, you don't get healthcare. I mean, what does that do to people with pre-existing conditions? They're done, right? This is pre-ACA. This is the Wild West that I used to see, before the ACA came in. It doesn't work. The economics of that are untenable, and more people will just say, screw it, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. More people fall out, right? The pool gets smaller. The rates go up for all the other folks who really need that health insurance today. And then the folks who choose not to, need their appendix out or start having chest pain, break their leg on their ladder, cleaning leaves out of the gutter. And now they're screwed too, because that $2,000 or $5,000 check, that's not going to cover those things. Right. So those folks are now doing GoFundMe's like everyone else. It doesn't work. These guys are so out of touch. They don't know. They don't face these realities.
And let's circle back that pre-ACA world. I think a lot of people have gotten comfortable. I mean, it's been what, 15 years? I mean, longer. People have gotten very comfortable with the system. And there's a lot of people who've forgotten what life was like. A dear friend of mine, very close to me right now, when I told her I was talking to you today, she goes, and we talked about the health savings account, which I definitely want to dig into. She says, yeah, it's a great idea. Health savings account, how we had it before. And then I got an $81,000 bill for my appendicitis. Had to file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Yeah. There's just, you have no choice, and so people, I think, forget. So tell us a little bit about that pre-ACA world. You were a doctor then. I mean, it was a different animal, right? People talk about a lot, the fact you could be dropped from your insurance, but there's much more to it than there's so many things hidden in that law that the Republicans want to get rid of. It was a bad time, wasn't it?
It was a bad time. I mean, expanded Medicaid is one, obviously, huge, massive for poor people, right? Working poor people working multiple jobs. They don't get insurance. and they just don't make enough to buy insurance. People with pre-existing conditions, right? That was the big fight of the ACA attempts at repeal back in 17 because they didn't have an idea how to actually cover that. They don't have an idea again, right? They have no idea how to do that. And that's critical, right? If you have diabetes, but like what they can call pre-existing conditions. I mean, in some plans they could call being a woman of childbearing age a pre-existing condition because you might get pregnant, right? All right, your pre-existing condition is that you are of childbearing age. You could get pregnant. That's going to be expensive. We're going to charge you more. So they could rate set data based on age now, and that's fine. Like as I get older, rates are going to go up. That's okay. But they can't do it based on you coming to the table with high blood pressure, diabetes, what have you. That's what we used to see. So more people without insurance. We had so many more people coming in just for like routine things like, hey, I sprained my ankle, I broke my wrist, something like that, and then their blood pressure is 200 over 100. If you don't know, that's not great. Having symptoms, right? You get them on some meds, you try to get them into a doc, but they don't have insurance, so they're not going to get a doc. 2 months of blood pressure meds, and then you see them again a year later. And the problem is if you do that enough over time, even at a young age, 10, 15, 20 years from now you come in having a stroke. You come in having a heart attack because you didn't have access to primary care, to getting your medications, to sort of that medical management that only, good connected primary care people with insurance can get. That was reality, right? I practiced pre-ACA for 15 years, something like that, before it was fully implemented. And now another, 12, 13, 14 years since it has come out. And it's night and day. It's night and day, and people feel it. They tried labeling it Obamacare because Trump hated Obama so damn much. He's been going after it. Seemingly, that's the reason. But it's a positive in people's lives. Again, it's still too expensive. We cannot defend the system as it is. The system needs to be fixed, right? We need to bring down prices. We need to figure out how to keep premiums down. But for right now, again, the people who are on the ACA, the people who have Obamacare, but for all of us, they need a lifeline. These credits need to be extended for a year, 2 years. Then you can all get together and try to come up with a real plan, not just Trump, tweeting something out.
And there's an election. There's a midterm coming up. There's going to be a political urge. I mean, I think even let's actually, this is a great place to take a pause. So let's take a pause. I got two great sponsors as always. Let's take a pause. We'll come right back after the break for our sponsors. So many Americans living paycheck to paycheck right now. It's hard to keep up with everything. And now the whole cycle is killing so many of us. And debt from credit cards, it's not an accident. It's a whole system that built to keep average working Americans to be struggling to keep up. And frankly, the banks profit, creditors win, and average families lose. That's on top of you getting all the calls and the fees and then the high interest trap where you switch cards. It's rigged against us. And so many Americans struggle to get out of it. So I want to introduce you to our newest sponsor, PDS Debt. They've already helped hundreds of thousands fight back, cutting debt, ending the calls, putting value back in the pockets of average Americans who need it, instead of just the banks and the credit card companies. And look, if you're struggling with credit cards or maybe personal loans or medical bills, which we talked about in the show today, PDS Debt can help you go beyond those numbers and kind of help you figure out what your unique financial situation is and craft a personalized plan just for you to get out of it. And look, you've heard about these companies and some of them aren't great, but there's really no minimum credit score required with these guys. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back in the pocket of yours, in your pocket, where it belongs. Now, here's the key for me with PDS Debt. They are an A+ rated company by the Better Business Bureau, okay? They boast thousands of 5-star reviews. I checked it out myself on Google. They hold a 5-star rating with Trustpilot because I'm picky about these. Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people to get out of debt. And look, I've been there, folks. I've struggled. You know that. It's very public, the things I struggled. And I didn't have help. I did it on my own, and it was very difficult to do on your own. It really helps to have professionals that will help you. So with that said, I hope you can check these guys out. It's your money. It's your future. Don't let the system decide for you. So you're 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment. Find the best option for you right now at pds.com/Fred. That's pds.com/Fred. It's an easy website to go to. I hope you'll check it out, and we appreciate their sponsorship of the show. Thank you. Have you ever found the perfect thing online that will just make you look spectacular and fit your house, or, it just clicks, right? And you click on the price and then pass out, I do that all the time. And that's why I use Duke.com. I've really fallen in love with this site. And all you got to do is type dupe.com// before any product URL. And Dupe will instantly show you similar and more affordable alternatives and different things for that product. And I tell you, as we go to holiday shopping season, it's the perfect thing to do. And look, these aren't like knockoff things. It really goes through the internet using AI to find the best thing, from fashion to gadgets to furniture, all built probably the same factory or the expensive one you're buying. And they're brands you know. They just use different labels, a lot of these products. I mean, I didn't know this for years, but what you're buying at one store may be the exact same thing as another store, but with a different label on it or slightly different materials. A light fixture, for example, or a piece of furniture. So Dupe finds them or something nearly identical, and then it's a fraction of the price. And it's no wonder the Dupe is going viral all over the place. Millions of people have been checking it out. You guys have been checking it out. This is our second time talking about Dupe. It's a great sponsor for the show. But look, sometimes you find something like 60, 70, or even 80% off, and it's completely free to use. And the holiday season, Dupe is giving away 1 million what they call Dupe points. And you can turn those points straight into gift cards. And here's how it works. You earn Dupe points just by shopping with dupe.com. No payment, no catch. Just search for the products you're looking for. You want to save money and you rack up points. And want even more? You just gotta share Dupe with your friends, and then you save and you earn even extra more rewards. It just piles up. You get gift cards for using it. It helps out you. It helps out you save your budget, and it helps your friend. But here's the kicker. For a limited time, the first 10,000 people who go to dupe.com/Fred will get 500 Dupe points instantly. These are redeemable for gift cards, no catch, but spots are limited. So don't wait now. You're watching the show. It's dupe.com/Fred for 500 free Dupe points today. Use your Dupe points and gift cards to make the most of your holiday shopping. So it's simple, and I'd love you to do it. Just go to dupe.com/Fred, as you see on the screen. I'm not kidding when I say I love this sponsor. Okay. I love their products. I love the way it's helped me find cool things. I've been buying about 1 million of these quarter zips lately because it's that time of year. It's, as they say, sweater weather. And so I've been buying sweaters. So you should do it too. That's dupe.com/Fred. Thanks. And we're back. And so that's the thing. I saw it this morning. Mr. Jeffries was on TV talking about they're pushing now for, they're negotiating with Republicans for a 3-year extension of the tax subsidies. Republicans want maybe 1 to 2. That's good news. I mean, I was very gratified to hear that. He was getting beat up for wanting 3 and being accused of playing politics. But even if it's 1 year, as a political hack, obviously that's what I do for a living, and I'm involved in politics suddenly. Even a year at least is going to put some real pressure on people to come up with some ideas, because people like me are going to be out here saying, hey, what's your plan? Because we've got an election November 3rd, and you better have a damn plan, right? I mean, the political pressure could work, but it isn't working, is it? I mean, the system's not working, is it?
It isn't working for way too many people, right? So yes, we need whether it's a full reset or like tweaking. Certainly a few tweaks are needed under the hood of the Affordable Care Act, but of the system at large. I mean, like, this is the privatization of all aspects of healthcare. I mean, 70% of people on Medicaid have it through private insurance. Over 50% of people on Medicare have it through private. Like these things that we've been trying to defend against, the privatization of these safety net programs, these programs that help poor people, that help elderly people stay out of poverty. You have United Healthcare, Cigna, all these big insurance companies extracting profit both out of seniors, but really out of our entire system, right? That we all pay into. We pay taxes into Medicare, into having Medicaid, and they're making profits off of our tax dollars, right?
Right.
This should be something Republicans would want to get behind if they're really wanting to deal with waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, they throw those terms around all the time, right? When they cut $1 trillion from Medicaid in their big bill earlier this year, that they talked about that. That's bullshit. They cut healthcare from people, from working people, from
the only people who are conducting fraud, of course, those poors.
Florida, right? Biggest fraud settlement in Medicaid history. Rick did that.
Right. It's never the corporations that are the corrupt and the fraudulent. And they cut all, and of course they use DOJ to get rid of all the oversight of those organizations. So we know what the game is. They're trying to get richer, and the best way to do that is have us fight each other, right? Well, it's the people, it's those scum. One of the things that set me off and set me on the path I'm on right now is, I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, I talk about my son quite a bit. I'm very proud of him. But a year ago, my son was a bartender. And he was a bartender at a very popular restaurant chain, in a local restaurant in Virginia. very popular, but they didn't offer health insurance like most restaurants. I mean, we're talking 6% margin business. They don't offer health insurance even for full-time employees. So when the ACA window opened, we got on there. I helped him out. He's 27 years old, 26 at the time. Right. And we did the whole numbers. And guess what? He qualified for Medicaid. Now,
Okay.
my son likes video games, but he sure as F isn't laying around on the couch playing video games, getting free healthcare and not working. He was working his ass off. And the way that they smear Americans, they smear working class Americans who are going to work every day, doing their best to take care of their families, and simply not being paid enough because the minimum wage hasn't gone up in 40 years. And it just makes me mad. I think it angers me a lot is you just talked about, it goes to the whole Republican approach of hating working class Americans. And those are the people you see in your ER. We both know that those are the folks coming to your ER with challenges, and you're going to treat them no matter what. You have an oath to do so, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, we have an oath. We have a law. Thank God, right? Signed into effect by that liberal bastion, Ronald Reagan. Oh,
God, that guy.
Socialist, the socialist, right? Giving him a woke monster they was, right? Thank God we have them talent. Thank God the vast majority of us in healthcare have a conscience, unlike the folks in Congress. Like those guys went home, the Republicans in the House went home for 6 weeks and had a vacation. They still got healthcare, right? They still got a big fat paycheck. I think most of them took their paycheck. Yeah, they do, right? We know who's out there extracting pain off of people's illness and suffering, and it isn't other poor people who happen to be from a different place or happen to be a different skin color or happen to speak a different language. Those aren't the people out there screwing people over, taking away their health care. It's people who are making millions, billions, trillions of dollars out there and just got a big fat gift from Donald Trump and Republicans. Yeah, it's a shame.
And that smearing, it's gone on for a while. I think I ran a COVID field hospital in New York. I was very proud of that experience. And I remember a friend of mine, who's no longer a friend, if we're being honest, writing me because he was mad because his business was shut down. And the reason his business was shut down is because these idiot elites in New York who are still having parties and getting sick, and these liberal New Yorkers who were screwing us all over. And when I explained to him, the people in my hospital, in Ryan F. Larkin Hospital, the majority at that point, I think 60% of our patients didn't speak English, that the majority of our patients were working class people who'd been scooped out of their apartments or their homes by the fire department, lost a wife at that point, the stories were like, I had to counsel my counselor. We had a social worker on our team, and I got so angry at my friends said, no, these are working people. They've just flipped the script. Well, that's the problem. It's like, Jesus, man. It's like, these are fellow Americans, whether you like it or not. There's this streak. There's a large streak within the Republican community right now, the MAGA movement, that just disrespects so many of our fellow Americans. And then it's going to be in their shoes. And for example, here in St. Louis, I want to turn to the next piece of this puzzle, and it is hospitals closing. The healthcare system is very much collapsing. Rural hospitals, and here where I live in St. Louis, outside of St. Louis, we have a hospital that's on the cutting line for a cut. It's not a rural hospital; it's a community hospital. As a matter of fact, it's the one I volunteered in when I was 16 years old, because we had a mandatory program at my high school, Kirkwood High School. We had a freshman program where you could take a class where you volunteered in the community. And I was a candy striper. Yeah. I didn't wear candy stripes, I wore white, but the local hospital I worked in is on the slate to be closed. So let's talk about that aspect of this. I mean, we talk about the rural health crisis, but I think that's a misnomer. It's not really a rural, there's a hospital closing health crisis. Can you walk us through that a little bit for people to understand it?
Yeah, right. I mean, hospitals, run on thin margins, and already they were under threat, right? Because of, truly because of the undermining of things like the ACA and Medicaid, and limiting people who can be on Medicaid, and lots of states, attempting work requirements, that never quite panned out, or just overall trying to make it harder for people to have affordable healthcare. And when people don't have insurance and they still have to go to the hospital, they get treated, right? It becomes bad debt for the individual and for the hospital, right? Bankruptcies go up in the community, but the hospital has to eat a lot of that. So the Republicans just, kind of turbocharged that with $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts. So they cut $1 trillion from Medicaid that's going to punish all these hospitals. And then they came out with a $50 billion, right? 5% of that trillion fund that states get to fight over. We don't yet know how RFK and HHS and the folks there are going to dole that out, right? It feels like another Hunger Games situation of states vying for this money, but that does really only geared towards rural healthcare. It's not going to affect the disproportionate care hospitals and communities and urban centers, which are also going to get hit by these Medicaid cuts. And I see that all the time, like Republicans out there touting, we gave 50 billion to rural hospitals and Democrats voted against it. It's like, well, you gave 50 billion in the same bill, you cut $1 trillion. Like, can you not do the math? Right? That doesn't work. So, right, they took a system already kind of teetering year by year, and they just threw few gas on that fire, and it's going to get worse. They did it obviously to happen after the midterms next year. I don't think that was an accident. I think someone thought that out pretty clearly, so they could try to avoid responsibility.
Unfortunately, the business doesn't work that way, and so we all right now. I mean, I thoroughly believe they ended the shutdown because the bills are starting to come out. Right, the new ACA bills are coming out, new health insurance bills for everyone are coming out, and they're a lot higher, and people are panicked because they're. But look, I see it everywhere. I was at an event for my other job last month, and a lovely woman said, "Look, I'd love to donate to you, Fred, but I don't think I'm going to have health insurance in a month or two." It's like. It's the long-term effects that people understand, because then you're going to talk small businesses. My daughter owns a body and bath business. Am I going to buy bath bombs when I can't afford healthcare? Well, no. I mean, there's a ripple effect, that permeates. And this is kind of what I said in the opening there when you first came on is, look, healthcare is not a silo, right, Rob? It's not a silo. It's like just a thing. It's like my car payment. Look, but even a car is a good example. If I don't have a car, it means I got to use the bus. If there's no bus, I can't get where all these things don't work in a silo. If healthcare collapses, it all collapses, doesn't it? I mean, it all.
And if healthcare collapses, if hospitals collapse in any community, and in rural communities in particular, that whole community collapses. I mean, most of these places, and the place where I work in a small town in a rural county, in a community hospital. And if that hospital closes, that's the primary employer of that area, right? That goes away. Those people go away. People need to go find jobs somewhere else, right? They're not going to come back. So if you get a new administration in 28, going into 29, you get a new Congress, right? We roll back all the cuts, right? Get funding back, try to even increase funding, do more, fix the system, right? If we can. This is going to open back up. It's not like still too liquor off, turn on. It's still won't be going to school. Yeah, you'll like man as a sure. And trying to get manufacturing back. That's a project, right? Some places it is not coming back, no matter how hard you try, because the people have left and people have abandoned those towns.
You don't build a doctor overnight. Last time I checked, it takes a couple of days to build a doctor.
A little bit, yeah.
And it's a devastating ripple effect on our communities in ways. And you beat me to the punch. Like I know in my congressional district, the number one profession is healthcare, and that's typical across the country. Healthcare is the number one job in a lot of places. So we're not just talking about people losing their healthcare; they're also talking about losing their livelihoods in a devastating way. And look, we're getting towards time, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how these vaccines are causing autism, according to the CDC. I mean, Rob, I laugh. I tell the story often that, I was working in Ryan Larkin Field Hospital in New York City.
Yeah.
And I was the administrative chief of staff. I am not a healthcare professional, obviously. But I would sit in the healthcare professional meetings. They had a whole New York Presbyterian would have a morning meeting about COVID. And I was there when Trump said we should stick, bleach up in our veins and lights up our ass. And I remember the doctors just all like, what are we doing here? And look, some people in your profession are kind of conservative, not gonna lie.
Oh, for sure.
And even they're like, what the F is going on? I mean, talk to us what this change is and how devastating is this and how insane it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was at work and I get a little ding, one of the text chains I'm on, and I took a peek, and it's a screenshot of the CDC website saying, I forget the exact verbiage. Like, it is untrue to say vaccines do not cause autism. The research is being done looking into the causes of autism. This is not evidence-based statement, basically. So saying that vaccines don't cause autism is not an evidence-based statement. That's what they're saying now, right? When every bit of actual data, peer-reviewed data, good studies tells us vaccines do not cause autism. We don't know what causes autism.
No,
but we are pretty damn clear vaccines do not cause autism. Let's say this. There is no evidence that they do, and there is a massive amount of data out there telling us that they don't. And so for them to do this, I mean, this is like, I mean, we now know that RFK Jr. still smokes hallucinogenic things and all that. And I don't know, like, did he get a handle on the web platform and he got to just type out the script himself? I don't know what's going on with that. This is dangerous, right? It's scary stuff. And it's really sad for families with kids and loved ones who are on the autism spectrum, because now you're telling them if they did do the right thing and vaccinate their kids so they didn't die of measles and they didn't die or they didn't get polio and become paralyzed. Now you're telling them, well, you did something wrong. You caused this.
Running a family with the Tylenol. The whole Tylenol thing. It's like, I use Tylenol. It's like they're putting, and again, for me as a dad, as a granddad, it just feels like yet another assault on women. Let's be honest. What they're saying is mothers failed. They're accusing mothers of failing. It is yet another thing where a misogynist approach to all of this. The fact we still don't have enough healthcare, studies on women. My own daughter's had just unbelievable chronic endometriosis that went undiagnosed till she was 18. She finally got a female OB/GYN. It's just like, these things make me insane. And that's where I thought, and I'm a dude, I mean, obviously, and I thought, geez, and I saw online mothers saying, what the F am I supposed to do here? It's like, yet again, I'm being blamed. What do I say to my child if they read this and think it's true that because I took Tylenol, because and Tylenol doesn't do shit. And that's the punchline of the whole story, is the Tylenol is the least you can do for anybody.
Yeah.
If you've ever I've had knee replacement. I assure you, Tylenol didn't effing help. You know what I mean? It's like, it just feels like yet another excuse to kind of blame women or blame average Americans instead of following the science and following the leadership you get. Is that it is very frustrating. I imagine you must be.
Yeah, and if they want to put more money into doing good studies on this stuff, well, don't cut all the NIH funding for all that research out there, right? Like, let's do more research, right? We don't have to continue researching vaccines. We have shown that they are not the cause. So let's figure it out. I mean, RFK started in this world of advocacy as a pretty responsible and well-respected environmental advocate. It's a good idea to get bad things out of our environment, like that people are ingesting, to keep the air clean, to keep the water clean. He's thrown his lot in with a group that's trying to gut the EPA, right? And trying to gut the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, right? So coal is trying to bring back coal, right? And they're canceling projects that are going to help make our air cleaner, help decrease the number of toxins, the amount of, they talk about mercury, which is a non-existent, toxic mercury is non-existent in vaccines, right? The kind of mercury isn't the kind. Guess where the toxic mercury is? It's in coal-fired power plants. It's getting into our water. People who eat fish, right? People getting connected to the water are getting the mercury. It's completely backwards and upside down. We have a prescription for how we make this actually better, right? We fund the research, we fund the science, we move towards clean energy, we do clean up our food system. We kind of try to limit agribusiness and kind of get back to things that are more natural. That's all sounds great. And then RFK gets just kind of go down this rabbit hole and can't let go. I don't know if it's the worm talking. I don't know what did it, but something is at work here. It's not good.
It's insanity at the top. I can't imagine being in your position in an ER trying to do this, and as an advocate that you are, I mean, with your other work. So before I let you go, tell us about all the things you did. So folks, the thing about having a guest like Dr. Rob is he's got a bio as long as my arm. He ran for office once, but what are your current jobs right now, Rob, that we'd love to get our followers to know about?
Yeah, well, so I am an ER doc in West Michigan. Don't come see me there unless you need to come see me there. And if you do, I don't want to see you professionally there. Yeah. But, in my other day job, the executive director of the Committee to Protect Healthcare, if you're a physician, you want to be involved in that work, please come. We're going to help elevate voices of all the docs just to be out there,
Lincoln, Ohio,
advocating for our patients. But then also our project with Paging America on Substack. Paging America podcast comes out every week, usually on Thursdays, on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple, all the things. Check us out. Myself, my colleague, Miles Baker, who's not a doctor, he's a political guy, and we kind of dig into the politics behind all the healthcare mess that we're seeing right now. We also don't have a lot to talk about, so we're always kind of come up with ideas because, nothing's happened.
Quiet time. I mean, everything's awesome. Well, we appreciate you. I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad to have you on the show and talk about this. I know our viewers love having you on. So thank you, sir. As always, keep up the fight, I guess, my friend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for it.
All right. See you soon. All right, good. Self-stuff. And something we were talking about. What a great conversation, and always a tough one to have. Obviously, it's so important. And look, I can't say it enough, folks. Everything in our lives is touched by the healthcare crisis. Everything, every part of our lives, every business is touched by the healthcare crisis. And until we address this, until our leaders in Congress and leaders in the White House and else address this for real, this is going to be the bane of the American system. We're the only country in the world that has people going bankrupt because of healthcare. And we've talked about my own challenges I've had in my past that I lost it all, not once, but twice. And the key is healthcare, and businesses are going under because of healthcare. Entrepreneurs can't start business because of healthcare. People can't change jobs because of healthcare. And something else we didn't talk about. I really regret it because Rob brought it up as we were talking later, or before the show. Let's talk about that health savings account. Let's think about that. What is a health savings account? A health savings account is a bank account. It's a special kind of bank account, and the government puts money in it, and you put money in it if you've got it. And in theory, it's a savings account. It's just a savings account. It's another bank account that the government helps you with. And they're going to come up with rules for taxing it and how much you could take out and all this stuff. But the thing is, like any savings account, it takes time to build. It's not, you're not going to have a lot in there. The average person, a working person, who's literally 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Are you kidding me with this stuff? How are they going to afford to put thousands of dollars a month into a health savings account? But who does it help? And that's the key, right? Who does a health savings account really benefit the most? Banks, the bankers, the investors. The investors who will bundle these and buy them as stocks, or what do they call them? Bonds, whatever, I'm not even familiar with it. But we do know this. It's another financial vehicle that'll be paid for by the government. Don't you think there's a profit motive to that? So as you watch this argument unfold, this sudden good idea the Republicans suddenly had after years of saying they had a secret plan, but suddenly Trump says, let's just give people the money, and then that's policy because this idiot administration and the Republican Party, they can't resist just doing whatever stupid shit Donald Trump comes up with. Watch the bankers, okay? Watch the members of Congress on the banking committee as they suddenly pile on how awesome this idea is, how amazing a health savings account system would be where the federal government is putting money in your bank as a favor. This amazing system that'll put money in the banks. And look, while it's sitting there, the banks will just invest it. They'll just invest it for you. It's a favor. It's a risk they're willing to take for you, average working American. The banks, they're gonna help you because we all know the banks have our best interests in mind, and not the top 1% that are currently representing 10% of our, the top 10% represent over 60% of consumer spending right now. 67% of Americans live in paycheck to paycheck, as I already mentioned several times in this show. So who do you think this will benefit? So just watch. As you watch this argument unfold, folks, as you're seeing this discussion, because the Republicans aren't going to let it go. You saw the videos at the beginning of the show. This is their new big idea. Oh, this is amazing. We'll just give the money to you. Rich people are going to love this shit. More government money just for me? Awesome. They'll still buy health insurance because they got the money. But hey, what's a little free government money in my bank account? That will earn interest. That'll be invested. Look, while they're sitting on your money, look, the banks don't put the ball. Look, this ain't 1930, folks. They're not stacking dollar bills in a freaking vault. Hell no. They're investing that shit. Putting it in stocks, putting it in bonds, putting in vehicles, investment vehicles you've never even freaking heard of. And just like the housing crash in 2008, when those vehicles crashed, what happens when all this stupid idea comes crashing down? We'll pick up the bill once again. But don't worry, the banks are too big to fail. So as you watch this unfold, this idiotic idea of HSAs unfold, watch who's for it. Okay? Watch who's like, yeah, I love this idea. It sure as shit isn't going to be the lady doing your checkout at Walmart. It sure as hell isn't your bartender who's been working their ass off all night and qualifying for Medicaid. Okay? It sure as shit isn't your neighbor, because you don't even know that the majority of people in America are living paycheck to paycheck at their limit. Even in the nicest places you live, you know the story, folks. It takes one lost job, one cancer diagnosis, one glitch car wreck, and they lose everything. Even in the nicest places. That lovely house on the street, suddenly all the lawn keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the house falls into despair because they are on the edge at no matter what your income level. This is a time bomb that's waiting to explode. And if our leaders in Congress and our leaders in Washington don't take this shit seriously, the folks in Wall Street, no one's going to escape this bomb when it goes off. But as this conversation unfolds, as you watch them discuss it, there's one place to look, folks. Who's making the money? That's always the question, right? Who's getting rich? Because that's the real deal. It's not you and me. So with that, thanks for joining me here on a Friday night live on the MySuch Network. And whenever you catch the show afterwards, I hope you'll follow it up. Hey, look, share the show. I would love you to share this show. Okay. Like, I don't think I asked you guys that enough. Like, could you just hit that share? But I know you guys hit the like button. Got a couple thousand you watching live at a time. But over the weekend, could you share the show? Because, we're in the live tab on MySuch now. So it's not in the video tab. So a lot of times you won't see us very often. So I would really appreciate you share the show, post it to your social media channels, tag us. It's FP Wellman everywhere, or FP Wellman official on Instagram. I'd really appreciate if you just share the show. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you to scoot on over and sign up for our Substack. That's fpwellman.substack.com. That's where everything is happening these days, folks. We're posting regularly in there, talking a lot about my other job, which I don't talk about here, but I got this other thing I'm doing, which you may have heard about, that I'm really proud of. It's going great. You'll learn about that and other things going on in our country at the Substack. I'd hope you do that. It is free. I know times are tough. We've lost a lot of paid subscribers, and people are emailing me saying, I'm so sorry, Fred, I can't pay for this. I'm okay with that. I love your paid subscription. It does help me pay my bills. But if you can't afford it, it's all free, folks. There's nothing paywalled on the FP Wellman Substack. So please, if you share it with your friends, go on over to fpwellman.substack.com. I'd really appreciate your support for that. And again, if you keep up with all the crazy stuff I'm doing right now, because you know me, never a dull moment. Hey, this has been another great week, another great show. Thanks for joining us. I'm so privileged to be able to spend this quality time with you guys every week. I look forward to it. In the meantime, keep up the fight, folks. We're going to win this thing. Don't give up the ship. We are in this fight together. I promise. We're not done yet. All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks.